Dr. Jim Stoppani, and in this video I want to talk to you guys about branched-chain amino acids. In my opinion, they're one of the most critical supplements that you can take both before and after your workouts. Now, what are branched-chain amino acids? Well, you guys know amino acids are what make up protein. They're the building blocks of protein, and that's kind of how we think of them. But amino acids also provide numerous benefits in the body. They provide functions. You might be familiar with beta-alanine. That's another amino acid that is not used for muscle building. It's not a building block for muscle protein. It actually provides functions in the body that do lead to muscle growth in the long run, but it provides these functions that are separate from the amino acids functions as a building block of protein. Now, the branched-chain amino acids are used as building blocks for muscle protein, for protein in the body. However, while that is critical when it comes to muscle growth, they also provide other benefits in the body, and they provide specific functions. So the three amino acids, when we say branched-chain amino acids, are leucine, which most people feel is the most valuable player of the three, isoleucine, and then there's valine. Those are your branched-chain amino acids. Why are they called branched chains? Well, it's due to their structure. I won't bore you guys with the chemistry, but they literally have what looks like a sort of a branch, if you know your chemistry. And that's sort of outcropping, this little branch that branches off of the main part of the amino acid. So that's why they're called branch chains, but that's not anything you need to be worried about. What you do need to worry about is the way that the body handles branch chains. They're quite unique. Most amino acids, when you consume them, go in your stomach, go into your intestines. In the intestines, they're absorbed into the bloodstream. But they don't go right to the muscles. You have your liver. Your liver is sort of your first line of, it's not the first line of defense, but it's sort of your first line for things that you consume. Go to your liver, and the liver decides pretty much what to do with them. It could break them down. It could send them back into the bloodstream. Branched-chain amino acids, unlike the other amino acids which get shuttled directly to the liver, the branched-chain amino acids don't necessarily have to go that route. They can get direct access into the bloodstream, which means they get direct access to your muscles. They're also unique in the fact that the muscles can use them directly as an energy source, unlike many of the other amino acids, which are mainly used as the building block. So during exercise, when you take branched-chain amino acids before a workout, it's not to build muscle during the workout. You don't use the branched-chain amino acids to build muscle during the workout. It's not until the workout is over that the body's going to put them to use for building muscle. You're going to use them as an energy source. They become a critical energy source during intense exercise, such as when you're following one of my programs. So before a workout, your branch chains are providing an energy source and decreasing fatigue. Now, like I said, you've got leucine, isoleucine, and valine. Getting back to leucine. Now, leucine is considered the most valuable player when it comes to muscle growth. And that's because leucine has been found to directly turn on muscle protein synthesis. It activates this complex called mTOR. And again, I'm not going to bore you guys with biochemistry, but leucine literally acts like a key in a lock to turn on an ignition. It's like turning on an ignition in a car, which happens to be muscle protein synthesis. So it literally goes into the muscle cell, activates this mTOR, it turns on muscle protein synthesis, meaning the muscle is building more protein. So that's why leucine is so critical. But like I said, when you take them before a workout, it's not about building muscle, it's going to be for energy. That's the other thing that the branched-chain amino acids provide. They provide the body an energy source during exercise. And they also prevent fatigue. When it comes to the fatigue, valine is the most valuable player when it comes to blunting fatigue. That's because valine blocks the uptake of another amino acid called tryptophan. Tryptophan, you may have heard it called tryptophan or tryptophan, however you want to pronounce it. But tryptophan is an amino acid that gets taken up by the brain and then gets converted into serotonin. Serotonin, you know, is a good, feel-good hormone, which is great. It overall enhances mood. However, it can make you lethargic. During exercise, when you have high serotonin levels from the uptake of tryptophan, it induces fatigue. Basically, the brain signals the body that you're fatigued and your performance decreases. Well, what valine does is it competes for uptake by the brain with tryptophan and literally gets taken up preferentially over tryptophan so that you get less tryptophan uptake. That means you get less serotonin production when you're training, and that helps to prevent fatigue. So when you look on a bottle, such as my pre-gym, and as long as they're honest and list the ingredients as they should, and pre-gym lists branch chains of 6 grams of branch chains, and I actually list out each one. It's 3 grams of leucine to 2 grams. It's 3 grams of leucine to 1.5 grams of isoleucine and 1.5 grams of valine. That's what we call a 2-to-1 ratio of leucine to the other two, to the isoleucine and the valine. 2-to-1 ratio. Now you may hear a lot of companies talking about, an 8-to-1, meaning, you know, there's 8 times as much leucine as there are the other two, the isoleucine and valine, or even a 10-to-1. Now, like I said, everyone looks at branched-chain amino acid. Leucine is the most valuable player on the branched-chain amino acids. When you take it pre-workout, that's really not the case because, like I said, you're not using leucine to build muscle during your workout. It's not until the workout's over, which is another time when you want to take another dose of branched-chain amino acids. During the workout, you need them for energy. So pre-workout, taking branched-chain amino acids, it's really about providing energy. So if you go with a really high dose, a really high ratio of leucine to isoleucine and valine, like an 8-to-1 or a 10-to-1, you're losing out on the valine. You're barely getting any valine. Remember, I mentioned that valine is the one that's blocking the tryptophan uptake. It's the one that's helping to reduce fatigue. So if you go way too high with the leucine, you're not getting enough valine for the workout to prevent that, to blunt that fatigue. So that's why I recommend pre-workout you go no higher than a 2-to-1 ratio of branched-chain amino acids. Like I said, you're not using the leucine to promote muscle growth at that time. It's all about energy and it's all about preventing fatigue. So that's why I use a 2-to-1 in my pre-gym, because you want to be sure you're getting adequate amounts of valine. After the workout, sure, that's when you can go for a higher leucine to isoleucine and valine dose, because that's when you're going to use the leucine to really promote that muscle protein synthesis, help aid recovery after the workout's over, increase muscle growth. However, I still don't recommend going too crazy with the ratio, doing like an 8 or a 10-to-1, because research has actually shown that when you provide just leucine to branched-chain amino acids, the group getting the branched-chain amino acids have a higher increase in muscle protein synthesis than the group just getting the leucine. So it's really not just about the leucine. Yes, leucine is the most critical player at that time for turning on muscle protein synthesis, but you really want all 3 of them because they work together to promote that muscle protein synthesis and muscle growth. So post-workout, I would recommend going as high as a 3-to-1 ratio tops. That's what I have in my post-gym product. You get a little more leucine, but not so much that you're getting too little of the isoleucine and the valine. So yes, branched-chain amino acids are critical. The most critical time to take them post-workout. Look for around a 2-to-1, particularly when you're taking it pre-workout. Post-workout, maybe go as high as a 3-to-1, but like I said, don't get too carried away with the leucine. Yeah, leucine is great, but you also need the other two branched-chain amino acids. And then the other time to consider taking your branched-chain amino acids are in the morning when you wake up and with other meals. What we found about leucine is that the evidence shows that you probably need a minimum of about 3 grams of leucine to maximize muscle protein synthesis. Now, when you eat something like a chicken breast, it's going to take a certain amount of protein from the chicken breast to provide you that 3 grams of leucine. So what we know is that it takes somewhere close to 40 grams of protein from chicken to provide you that 3 grams of leucine. So if you're eating, beef or chicken or fish, and you're eating less than 40 grams worth of protein at that meal, it might be a good idea to also take a branched-chain amino acid supplement with the meal to make sure you're maximizing your leucine dose so that you're maximizing muscle protein synthesis. And then probably the last thing I want to talk about with the branched chains is what's the proper dose. I would go, like I said, with a 2-to-1. Most times you want to make sure you get at least 5 to 6 grams. That'll give you close to, if it's a 2-to-1, that'll get you right around the 3-gram dose for the leucine. But I typically recommend anywhere from about 5 to 10 grams pre-workout, 5 to 10 grams post-workout. Like I said, maybe 5 to 10 grams when you wake up in the morning with your meal to help stimulate muscle protein synthesis at the start of the day. And then also consider adding about 5 to 10 grams to those meals that are providing less than 40 grams total of protein. So definitely consider using branched-chain amino acids. In my opinion, they're one of the most critical supplements that you can take for not only enhancing muscle growth, but also performance in the gym.